Hi there everybody, it's Kirsty here from My Home Truths. Sorry it's been a little while between videos. I've just been so busy with this whole high school thing and I just haven't had time with all the commitments to get online as much as I wanted to, which includes posting and things like that. Apologies, I do have a cold today, so if I sneeze or if I sound more masculine than usual, that's the reason why, and I apologise in advance if anything happens to to gross you out. But I did want to do a quick video while I had the opportunity to talk about sibling relations. It's the focus of a post that I put out today, finally put one out for the week. And in it I talk about, or I confess, where I find it difficult and I think it's impossible to be able to fully balance attention for all kids in your family, which obviously then has flow-on effects to the relationships between the siblings and your family dynamics and how you manage your time and attention and all the emotions that go with that. And as I said, there's no easy answer to that, and I've been doing this for a long time and I haven't been able to find it either. But I think there are good and bad things in every situation, but I think the first thing you need to do is to accept that if you have a child with additional needs or special needs, the very nature of that means that they need more attention and more care, and they have needs that need to be more fully met. So therefore, that attention has to come from somewhere. And, as I said in the post, I haven't been able to come up with anything fancy like a time machine, etc. yet. So, it has to come from some other part of your life. And if it's not from yourself and your own needs, or if it's not from your time with your partner, it obviously has to come from your time with your children. And yes, I feel guilty about this. And I think every special needs parent does. Because you want to be the best parent for all your children, not just for your child with additional needs. But what I've had to come to accept is that, yes, I feel that guilt, but if I spent equal amounts of time with all of my kids, I would feel guilty I wasn't doing enough for my children with special needs. So I can't get away from that guilt. So I have to sort of look at it and accept it and own it and go, okay, I'm going to feel guilty. I'm never going to be enough for all of my kids. But what I can do is do what I can and do the best for the kids, who need who more need that attention. And I do my best to give my youngest daughter, who is my one child without special needs, I do my best to give her special time and to make the time that I have with her more quality than quantity. So I think in the end, it's really understanding that you want the time that you spend with your child. You may not be able to spend as much as you want, but make that time that you do spend with them quality. So you may do something you want to do. Make sure that you're present in the moment. And that's the only way I've been able to sort of cope, and put aside that guilt, I guess. But having said that, my daughter, my youngest daughter, you've just always got to find some more, I suppose, creative ways to find that time as well. And so in my case, on a Thursday, so this afternoon, I have the fun of driving pretty much for 2 hours in a row. So I spend half an hour travelling to get Matilda to drama, and then I spend another half an hour coming back to take Delilah to ballet, and then I get to sit for a little while for half an hour before doing it all again and, getting Delilah and then going back to getting Matilda. And the first couple of weeks, I saw that in a completely negative way. I've just gone, I'm in the car, I hate it. This is just, it's a waste of time. I'm not getting anything done. But then I started looking at it and going, okay, but this is an hour now that I have with Delilah one-on-one. So I get an hour with my youngest child now that I didn't have before, one-on-one with no other distraction. And so, yes, and I can't do anything sort of, like play with her or play toys or anything with her. But, I can talk to her about her day. We can play imaginary play in the car. We can spot things. Just because it's not sort of typical time that, if I had an hour, I would choose to go driving with her, it doesn't mean that it's not useful time, or it's not time that I can make quality time with her. So now I'm embracing that and going, okay, well, I've got a half an hour to ballet and a half an hour back where it's just me and Delilah. So, thinking about things I can talk to her about. Last week we did a role-playing game as we drove. So it's looking for those opportunities and as I said, we can never even out the attention that we spend on our kids. It's just not possible, and I doubt that's possible in a normal, a normal family either that isn't dealing with special needs. But it's really approaching it and going, okay, accepting that, but then moving on from it and going, okay, well, how can I make the time that we have that quality time? And so, sort of in this example, I've been able to, eke out and enjoy that hour with her now that I didn't have before. And then I have an hour on top of that with both of the girls in the car, where we can sort of chat or just have a rest or whatever the case may be. So it's a big issue, sibling relations, and that's just, I suppose, from the parent point of view and sort of dealing with our guilt and the situation we're in. And then you've got the relationships between the siblings themselves. Our situation is quite interesting. Between Gilbert and Matilda, they're only 18 months apart, and there's always been a sense of they just don't get on. Their personalities clash, and that's just the way it is. And they're both on the spectrum, so things do bother them more intensely in some circumstances than they would other people, and they just can't get past certain things. So, Gilbert can't stand Matilda being on her device watching her YouTube videos, which is one of her special and intense interests. He wants her to have headphones on and just, leave him to his own devices. If they happen to knock into each other, and neither of them are very good, proprioception, they've just got no idea of where their bodies are in space, that then causes a kerfuffle. They just seem to grate on each other. And it makes it really difficult. On the other hand, though, they have these really odd moments where they love each other intensely. It's bizarre. I love them, but then it goes too far, and then they hate each other again. So I just, other people just go normal brother and sister behaviour, and it is. So even between kids with special needs, there's those normal sort of behaviours that, that you've got to deal with and manage. And the dynamic between Delilah and her two siblings on the spectrum is quite interesting too. So she and Gilbert have this beautiful relationship. He will actually do most things for her. Like if she asked him to do something, he would actually consider it. She's probably one of the only people that he can do that. And it's just, it's amazing to see, because when I was pregnant with her, he was so scared of her arrival. Yet she has been, she has this beautiful relationship with him that it's just beautiful to see. They have their moments, they fight, but they just get on. They innately just seem to relate to each other. And the empathy and the compassion that she has developed herself along the years, just having this example before her, I think is something that I could have never have taught her. And she's learning independent skills, and she's learning skills of, she's just learning these higher level skills just by being a part of our family that she wouldn't get normally, and that she has far beyond her peers have, because she just has these experiences. So I think we also need to have a look at, okay, sure, it'd be great and ideal to give our kids all of the attention and the love and, that they need and they want. But on the other hand, there are some other experiences and some other skills that they're developing that, we can't ignore and that we have to be grateful for as well. And then the relationship between Delilah and Matilda, love-hate. They love each other most of the time. They get on really well. They have similar interests. But again, there's those moments where pretty much Matilda's had enough, and she is still learning how to actually explain that without sort of losing it. So we're working on that and working on her skills of sort of being able to pull herself out or to find some regulation before she gets to that explosive point. But essentially, though, they both love imaginary play. They both love, things like My Little Ponies and Shopkins, etc. So they'll often play together in imaginary games and with objects, etc. But then it just gets too much for Matilda after a while, because Delilah has her own thoughts and feelings and wants to go off and play in her own way, and Matilda really struggles with that. So the relationships between siblings can be interesting. I must say I've never experienced or seen resentment between my kids. There's been times where there's been sort of the momentary jealousy when someone is seen to have had more attention than the other. Interestingly, Delilah doesn't actually say you spend more time with them than me. She just complains that I don't spend enough time with her playing per se. And, honestly, if I played as much as she wanted me to, I wouldn't do anything else in my day. So, I play as I can, but, I do have other responsibilities, and she knows that, not just to the other kids, but to the house. And as to the other two, it's funny. Matilda is conscious of how much work that I have to do with Gilbert, and that's just always been the way. She can sometimes feel a little bit resentful for that. I do talk to her, and I think that's the other aspect, is to be honest with your kids about what you're dealing with, in an age-appropriate way. To explain, they need to know. If you can explain and reason and say, okay, this is why I'm spending so much time, with your brother or sister, that will start helping them understand, and then hopefully that will sink into them, and then therefore they can actually, start helping them in similar ways themselves. But I think honesty is really important. And, I've always been honest with the diagnoses between the kids. I don't know. Delilah's 6. I don't know how much of this she takes in. I don't know how much she's understanding at the moment. I'm expecting more questions as she gets older. But she's always known that her brother, can't see as well as she can, and she also knows that he has trouble dealing with the world, and struggles, with disappointment, and with, and needs to sort of engage in his own time, and and she's learnt to manage that. So I think while it's obvious, and I think it's true that in a special needs family, sibling relations are one of those things that, they have complete balance. I think instead of sort of focusing on, oh my God, I'm not being fair to my other kids, it's turning that around. It's like the positive thought post I did last week. It's turning that around and going, okay, with the time I do have with my kids, what can we do? How can we make this special? How can we make this valuable? And I really do believe that's the same with your kids with special needs too, because I admit I'm often feeling the only time I spend with them is at therapy appointments. That when they're at home, they need to decompress, they go off to their room. And to be honest, I need to decompress. And so a lot of the time, I'm on the computer writing, or I'm reading, or I'm just trying to get a bit of my own time and my own space. We cannot be together 24/7 as a family. We just can't. And sometimes that means we don't spend as much time with each other as we should, I guess. But it really is looking at the quantity and at the quality of the time that you're spending together, not necessarily the quantity. And if you're getting enough, and if your kids are growing up, and you're not seeing sort of troubling behaviours that indicate that there's attention seeking, or that they're copying behaviours of others, which I know are other things that some other parents with kids on the spectrum have talked about, that they have their neurotypical kids who go off and try and whether it's copied behaviour or learned behaviour, or they know that they get a reaction when they do it, and that stuff is just usually a cry for attention. And as I said, it's really difficult when your hands are full with another child or a couple of kids to really give that 100% to the other kids. But all I can say from my own experience is, try and make the time that you can spend with them as special and the quality time as possible. Even if it's in the home, just go up into their room and play with them, watch a movie with them, just do little things that you probably don't think is a lot. As I said, I don't think talking in the car for half an hour to ballet and half an hour back, was quality time, until I thought about it and realised that is the one and only time in the week that we have that opportunity. So have a look at the time that you have, and try and be more positive and look at it in that way, instead of beating yourself up about the guilt of not having enough time. And as far as our kids, raising kids alongside special needs kids, I think that there are so many qualities and so many advantages that they're going to grow up with that, that their peers won't have. So yes, they won't get as much one-on-one attention, but they're going to grow up, and I've seen it already. One of our family friends, she has a brother on the spectrum, and she is just the most wonderful friend to my kids, because she understands. She's grown up with that understanding. She's grown up with that experience, with that compassion. And she's just beautiful and wonderful, and she gets them. And it's unlikely that she would have that same sort of level of understanding or acceptance if she hadn't had that experience. So don't underestimate your own kids either, because they're going to grow up and be beautiful, compassionate, wonderful people. So that's my take on sibling relations at the moment from my point of view. I'd love to hear yours. I'm glad that some people, can relate to what I'm going through and what I'm describing. But feel free to, to share your own challenges, or if you've got questions or if you've got comments to make them, because I'd love to get this conversation going. Because of all of the topics that we deal with, sibling seems to be that one that comes up again and again and again, because there is no easy answer. And so, yeah, that's why I've had to actually take that, that decision to make the decision that it's quality over quantity. And that helps me it makes me feel a bit better, but it also means that when I have that time with my kids, I'm making it count. So until next time, I'm not going to promise another date, because who knows what's going to happen with my life. But yeah, until next time, I hope that you all stay well, and that your kids are being loved and going wonderfully well. And yeah, have fun. We'll talk to you later. Bye.